Hi guys, and welcome to today's video. Today we're going to be doing a June reading wrap-up, which means we will be covering and reviewing and rating all of the books I read in June, as well as teaching you about some books that may fit your summer vibe, like whether you're going on a cruise, if you're just staying at home in bed, reading with like an ambiance in the background, playing some summer music, whatever you're doing, taking vacation. I'm going to be telling you all the books I read in June and if I recommend them or not. We're going to be going in order from when I first, like the books I first read in June, down to the books I finished off in June. Before we get into the video, I do want to say, if you guys are new here, which you probably are because I'm a new channel, then please, if you enjoy this video, please like, subscribe, turn on the bell, share, anything you want to do. If you enjoy it, it would really mean the world to me because I really want to make this booktube account. I want to make it a community. I want to be something here. So yeah, I really hope you enjoyed today's video and let's get into all the books I read in June. So without further ado, our first book was Does It Hurt by H.G. Carlton. Now this book, I would not say this book is for everybody. This one is definitely was a strong start to the month. But if you are looking for a book that I would consider this kind of its own genre, like a dark mystery romance, but it all takes place at this lighthouse in the middle of the ocean, and it's about this girl Sawyer. So Sawyer is actually an ex-convict. Well, she's kind of on the run, and she's actually from like the United States, and she like had to fly to Australia to get away from the police. She didn't actually do anything that was too terrible, so keep in mind if you don't want to read about a bad character, she's not a bad person, so you could go into this book having that faith. But basically she's on the run, so she goes to Australia, and then at this bar she meets this guy named Enzo, and she has this history of she will sometimes like spend time with guys, and then when she like I don't know, once she spends time with them, it manipulates their trust, and then she steals their credit card and their social security number so she can use their identity for a while she's on the run, which now that is very wrong, but it's the only way she's known how to survive for years because she should not be going to prison for what she's done. But anyway, so then this guy finds out, and his name's Enzo, and he's like a marine biologist. He cares a lot about the sharks, so he finds out, and then he kind of like tricks her back, and then they're on this boat and they get in this storm. And they're in shark-infested waters. It's dangerous. And then they end up on this island because it's this huge storm. They end up on this island with a lighthouse. And they meet this really creepy guy. And that's what all I'm going to leave you with. This book was really incredible. I gave it a 4.5 star. I really liked that. It was like a dark mystery romance. It was definitely something new. I really like how she incorporates mystery elements into her books because honestly, the thing I really enjoyed in this book was the mystery. It definitely wasn't a 5 star because I think there were some things like the romance elements were not my favorite. Like, no, but the setting and the mystery was really phenomenal. She should write more like horror books because she would do an excellent job at them. This book was really excellent and I would recommend it to anybody. If that sounds like something that appeals to you, I 100% say go ahead and read this. It is on Kindle Unlimited. So yeah, and I got my copy at Half Price Books, which was a really great find. So thank you to all those people that give their books secondhand to Half Price Books. Next up, we have Percy Jackson in the Sea of Monsters. Now, if you watched my 24-hour readathon video, which you should, if you haven't, please watch it. But I read this book, and you guys could probably see I wasn't that crazy about Percy Jackson, the Sea of Monsters. But this is the second installment in the Percy Jackson series. This is technically his second year at camp. And we get a new character introduced named Tyson, and they're going on this mission to save Percy's friend Grover, who was on the like hunt for Pan. Pan is this like mythical creature in nature in this mythology, basically like kind of the same presence as a god like Artemis. So Pan is a very valuable character, and Grover is a satyr, so he's like, oh, I need to see Pan. Turns out it's actually Cyclops. It's like a giant Cyclops that kidnaps Grover and wants to marry Grover. So this book had a very interesting plot, and like I said this on Goodreads, but it did feel like a Naruto filler episode. This book didn't really feel necessary, so to say, which is kind of disappointing. I was really excited to read this, but it just ended up not being my favorite book ever. I do think it's still a very solid book, so I gave it a 3 star out of 5. I really enjoyed Percy and Annabeth's characters, and I did end up enjoying the next one more, which you'll see on later in the wrap-up because I read that one at a different time. Not my favorite, but I like Percy Jackson. Next, we have God of War by Rina K. Legacy of Gods is one of my favorite series ever. This book is about these characters named Eli and Ava. This is a 6 6th installment and final installment in the Legacy of God series. Now, there is a spin-off called Kiss the Villain, but this is the final installment in the official Legacy of God series. You can see on the spine. She has them labeled in Roman numeral in case anyone's ever confused. But this one's about Eli and Ava. I would say this is kind of like a darker romance book. Not really, this wasn't my favorite at all. I think it's like this genre I need to be kind of careful with in the future. But this is about Eli and Ava, and she plays a cello, and he's just a guy who's inheriting this business, and he's honestly not my favorite character ever. But what happens is they're in college, and Ava is like this huge partier, but she actually has she has some real problems that she's dealing with. Like this book covers topics, like it has a lot of trigger warnings, but it covers topics like schizophrenia and her mental health. So she has schizophrenia, so sometimes she sees things that aren't there. Anyway, so her car crashes and while she's in college, and then she wakes up 2 years later. She has no memory of what's happened, but apparently she's been married to Eli for 2 years and she has no recollection of it. But that's all I'm going to leave you with, because this book truly is crazy. You can read this by itself. It's an interconnected standalone. However, I would rank this at the bottom of the series. However, this one, you really don't need to read the other books to read this one unless you want to know the other characters. It doesn't feel as connected as other books since it takes place once they are out of college, and I think the setting was one of the best things about the Legacy of God series. So this one was my least favorite. However, I still gave it a 4-star because overall I enjoyed it a lot, and I really like Ava's character, and when I like the main character, I usually can find myself enjoying the book. It was a good way to end the series. I'm really excited to go into the spin-off. Titan Skurrus. Okay, now this is a third book in Percy Jackson and the Olympians. Now, I really enjoyed this one. So this one follows Percy. However, this one does not take place during a new year of summer. This is actually in the winter. This book follows Percy and a lot of his friends, which I can't disclose some of their names because they're important to the previous books, and it also would give you a spoiler. But it's very good. This book basically follows their journey trying to rescue Annabeth, and it's really cool. They incorporate a lot of these things on this cover you're seeing are very, very relevant to the story. We have the Pegasus, we have the sky, and Atlas is holding it up. That's a very huge theme in this book, and they are basically getting closer to this imminent attack of Kronos, who obviously was the father of Zeus. So this book was very good. I gave it a 4.25. I really loved it. This one really picked up. I'm very, very, very excited for the next book. This one, I think it was just non-stop action. Everything happening was relevant to the story. I think so much was learned and gained from this book, and I really enjoyed it a lot. So 4.25. And the stakes are much higher. They're going up and up. So just like Harry Potter, I personally enjoy it when it gets a little more serious, more kind of like a YA, because this is just children's for now, but it gets more like a YA into that section, not too afraid to be too dark. So this was an excellent book. This was a very, very unexpected banger, everybody. So I have The Little Prince, aka La Petite Prince. This is a classic book. I think almost everyone has heard of it, but it is a classic children's book. However, this classic children's book teaches you more than a self-help book would. In 100 pages, in an hour, you can read this book in an hour. It is phenomenal. It is excellent. If you take time, actually, if you don't even really need to take time. If you're reading it and dissecting it and relating these experiences of this character to yourself, it is genuinely one of the most self-reflective and most amazing pieces of literature I've ever read. The metaphors, the allegories, the journey, the quotes, everything about this book is a masterpiece. So I gave this book 5 stars. I'm never going to forget reading this book. It literally was an hour of my life that I would never want to take back for anything. This book is phenomenal. It is also Kindle Unlimited for any of you that are interested. You probably can find it at the library. It is so good, and you all absolutely need to read this book. Absolutely everybody needs to read it. And we have this. I don't even know if this is the right order at this point, but For the Fans by Nyla K. Now, this book, I would say I was very taken aback by when I was reading this. I regret it at all. I actually don't have a rating for this book because I don't know what I'd rate it. I think there was a lot of good elements of this book. It was very, very long, though, But me personally, I thought there was a lot of cute moments, which I really appreciated. Like, they felt like they had a genuine connection, and it was an MM role. Really enjoyed the couple together, but I enjoyed the football, I enjoyed the Boston College setting, I enjoyed the Boston setting, I enjoyed all of, like, the forced proximity moments. Good book. Yee! Okay, I love this book. I read The Bridge Kingdom, and I had originally actually rated it 4 stars, just gonna say it off the bat, but I'm kind of reconsidering and might want to bump it up because I keep thinking about this book, and it was honestly a phenomenal fantasy, and it was more, this fantasy book was more focused on politics than it was romance. This is romantasy, okay? It is phenomenal. So it is about our main character, Laura. She has like 12 sisters. She lives in this oasis in the middle of the desert, and they have a crazy father, and he's the king of their palace, which is like Rina. Anyway, there's actually a map. So they are training at this oasis to become the queen of Ithaca, which is the other kingdom across the way, the Bridge Kingdom. That's why she's trying to learn the secrets of the bridge, because she actually becomes the chosen one of the daughters, because she overhears that if only one daughter is allowed to live, so she purposely poisons their soups to the point where their heartbeat slows down, but it keeps them alive. So she does that, and then all of her sisters get to live, and she becomes the queen of Ithaca, and she gets married to the king Aaron, and obviously they don't trust her because this marriage is just for peace between the kingdoms. It doesn't actually mean anything. Like, they're just supposed to be allies, but that doesn't mean they like each other. So they don't trust her, and they're suspecting that she's a spy. There's a lot of conflicts, like, economically between these kingdoms. Like, there's just a lot going on politically and economically, which causes this huge tension and high stakes, and I really enjoyed it. The setting is in like it's like a jungle, rainforest, and islands. That is something I find very uncommon in a fantasy book. I feel like the most common setting is either in like a city of a kingdom or the forest. Those are kind of the two things we get. This jungle, awesome. Okay, awesome. If you like fantasy, anybody that likes fantasy, just read this book. It is really great. I think the series as a whole is going to be really well fleshed out. Next up, we have This Could Be Us by Kennedy Ryan. And if you know me, I love Kennedy Ryan. So this is the second book in the Skyland series. I would definitely consider this a women's fiction book with romance element. I prefer that personally, but okay. So this is about Soledad, and her husband has just basically caused her to go bankrupt. She is a very, very strong and capable woman. She does so much for her community. She is one of the best moms out there, and she's doing so much, and she doesn't get enough credit for it, and her husband doesn't appreciate her, and now he's in prison, and the person that put him in prison is none other than the guy she's interested in and who is infatuated with her, and he's just coming out of a marriage. And there's a lot of really good autistic representation because Kennedy Ryan has an autistic child, so this book covers autism, which is really refreshing to see because not many books do. So she is an amazing author. She's incredible. I gave this a 4.25 just because I took a long time to read this. I found myself getting like too desperate to like see the romance progress. I think it took a very long time, which was necessary for the plot, but I think it just like sometimes I was just like, oh, if I reread this, I'm sure I will enjoy it more, and I'm very, very excited to read Can't Get Enough, which follows Hendrik. I love Soledad though. She is very relatable personally for me. She is an excellent character. Then I don't have the physical copy because my grandma is borrowing it, but I read The Women in Cabin 10 by Ruth Ware. Now this one was a nice surprise, but this one was in one of the Goodreads challenges. It was like, read a summary book. Basically, she gets an invite from this like, I think it's the manager of her company. Someone higher up at her company is like, hey, take my ticket to go on this Norwegian cruise and to see the Northern Lights. And she's like, oh, of course, I'm gonna take it. Are you kidding me? So it's mainly as an opportunity for her to climb the rankings. But she has like a burger come to her house. Her mental health is terrible. She goes on this trip, so she's obviously feeling a little bit paranoid. Then, this is very... But she sees someone fall off the ship while she's in her room, and it was a woman in cabin 10. And then she's like, I was supposed to network on this cruise, but now I'm suspicious, and I think someone could have, you know, fallen off the ship, so she's very worried. But that book, I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. Now, for a thriller, for me, a thriller, mystery thriller, 3.5 is pretty good for me. I am very, very picky when it comes to mystery thrillers, mainly because I think one of the primary elements I should do is give you a twist or a shocking reveal if that's what they're going for, and they always do. However, I never really find those to be very shocking or thrilling, so that's what happens. And I don't think thrillers should mean unlikable characters, which is a lot of the times what happens, but this book, I actually really enjoyed it. I think the twist actually really surprised me. I enjoyed it. It was actually making me feel nervous and anxious, and it was definitely thrilling. It was a really fun, good thriller book. And I know this book doesn't even have the highest ratings on Goodreads, but I actually enjoyed it. So, personally, I'm definitely going to be reading more by Ruth Ware. Okay, so I read 9 books in June, which is pretty good. Not my best, but I think it's still good. Like, as long as I think it's good, that's all that matters. And as long as you guys are happy with how many books you've read, that's all that matters. And you know what? No one can judge you for anything. So, just be proud of yourself. As long as you're reading, you're doing a good job. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed all my reviews of the books we went over. And if you enjoyed, please subscribe, like, comment. I would love to know which of these books you're interested in reading, or if you have any suggestions for what books I should read based off the ones you've seen in this video. I would really, really love to hear your thoughts because I love building a community here. So, thank you so much for watching today's video. Bye!